What it do? What's up, guys? This is the Next Man Up podcast. Again, this is Diego Dario, a professional basketball player here in the Philippines. And in this podcast, we just talk about hoops, local hoops, Filipino hoopers abroad, and also here in the Philippines. So if you're a hoop fan, if you're a basketball junkie, make sure to listen on and tune in here in the Next Man Up podcast. Make sure to also subscribe on Globally Ballin. We are on YouTube, Facebook, and on Twitter. On YouTube, we have a couple of shows there. We have an Eternity of Basketball where we talk to a lot of legends here in the Philippine basketball scene. We have Hang Time. We have Mukbang with Jho Jho, Joe Maraginot, one of the top volleyball players here in the Philippines, where she just chills and just talks about volleyball to her friends, all while eating. So that's a fun way to do things, to have conversations with people. And who the heck are we? So we just feature a lot of different athletes, a lot of different personalities here in the Philippines. But together with me here in the show on this podcast is my guy, my former teammate from the UP Fighting Maroons, also known as Mr. Hot Takes, because he's known for a lot of hot takes, especially here on the Philippines. And Gelo Vito, Mr. Gelo Vito is up, and he's also a professional basketball player. Gelo, what it do?
Good morning, Diego. Good morning to all our listeners. And again, great day yesterday for UAAP fans. It was a great game one. In the UAAP Finals against UP and Ateneo. That was a good one, Jegs. We'll be talking about it later on, but
Yes, sir.
yeah.
But since we're a weekly show, we're gonna be talking about not just the game yesterday. We're also gonna be talking about the game even before that. But just a quickly brief through. We have a lot of basketball news here in the Philippines. A bunch of UAAP guys. So basically, UAAP, one of the top collegiate leagues here in the Philippines. A few of the UAAP guys are actually applying for the Professional Basketball Association draft, the PBA draft here in the Philippines. One is Sean Ildefonso from the NU Bulldogs, of course, a really physical wingman. He's probably going to need to transition to a wing, to probably a 1 and 2. Justin Baltazar also applied for the PBA draft. Javi Gomez Deliano, who's playing in the B League, also announced that he will be entering the PBA draft. A bunch of LaSalle guys, also Kurt Lohera, a veteran guard, a wingman who has played well here in the UAAP season, will be entering the draft as well. And two of the Ateneo guys who are still playing in the finals, since the PBA extended the deadline further so that some of these guys can still play. So that's gonna be, I think, Gian Mamuyak and Tyler Teo, and I think the draft combine is gonna be up. And Jello, we both were part of the rookie combine. You were drafted by NLEX. I was drafted by Blackwater. Played for 3 years there. Can you tell us about the rookie combine for these guys probably listening, Jels? What can they expect, and what should they do? Since you've experienced that also.
First up, applying for the draft is already a huge step in
Yeah.
your career into your next level basketball career. One thing that I've learned from the draft and the draft process and draft combine itself, you just have to show up. Actually, you just have to show up. Just be yourself. You have to be confident. You just have to show what you can do to those coaches, to those scouts, PBA teams. And you just have to enjoy the entire process. Either way, you get drafted or not, you still have one foot to the door in the PBA, because even if you're not drafted, basically you're a free agent. Anyone can pick you up. Anyone can sign you up. You can be a practice player. Or, again, it's never a yes or a no. There's always other chances. There's always other opportunities to just so you can get into a team in the
Yeah.
PBA. So again, just enjoy the process. Just stay in the moment right there, and yun nga, just be who you are as a
Yes,
player.
sir. And what Jello said, guys. Those are the safe answers. What you're gonna hear from me, you gotta show up in the draft combine because that's your only chance, especially if you're a low key draftee. If you're not a blue chip recruit, if you're not the collegiate star, you gotta show up in the draft combine. You know, forget playing safe, forget
Yeah,
trying to be a
actually,
good teammate there. But I mean, like,
actually,
I. I played well there. I mean, I did the right things when I was in the draft
that's true.
combine, because my teammates were Robert Bolek, CJ. I think, oh yeah, Robert Bolek, Alejandro. So I really had to, set them up. I tried to run the plays and play good defense. That's my role, and any team that I play in. But honestly, if you are not a blue chip recruit, you gotta show up because some of these coaches haven't seen you play, especially if you didn't play in the UAAP or the NCAA. And also number two, I also learned this from Kiefer Avena. He told me, once you're there, say hi to all the coaches, even if you don't know the coaches. You gotta say hi to them, tell them who you are, where you played, because you'll never know who these coaches are. Are they gonna be players in the PBA and the MPBL and the other leagues? You'll never know, and you know maybe after 4 or 5 years they'll be the head coaches of the PBA, and they'll remember you being that rookie who came up to them and just no, he wasn't shy. He balled out in the draft combine. He just needed an opportunity. You'll just never know. So if some of the rookies are listening to this, if some of the draftees are listening to this, this is one thing that you can do. All right. So
But
I
Jex,
know that.
that didn't work out for me. That
I
kind
mean,
of didn't work out for me.
Jelly, you still got drafted, but I
But that's
heard.
a but that's a different story for us to tell. But that
Yeah,
didn't work for
yeah,
me.
yeah. Why, Jelly? Just tell us about it. Just a quick one. Why did that not work for you?
Well, I was obviously I was in because I entered the draft a year after the our stint in the UAP finals. So
Yeah.
hype kind of died down and all of that. So I had to do what you told me to do, what Kiefer
Hmm.
told you to do. So to look
Yeah.
to shake the hands of all coaches, introduce yourself or whatever like that.
Yeah.
But to cut the long story short, the guy that I shook hands with drafted me. They drafted me, but they didn't sign me, and they wanted me to they drafted me just because I would play in another league, something like that. But again, no hate.
All right. All right.
That's the business. So it is what it is.
I mean, it still probably gave you a lot of opportunities, Jello. So
Yeah,
so
that's true. That's
yeah,
true.
I still stick to my point. Talk to everyone there. Enjoy the moment. Enjoy the process. Do well in all the tests, the vertical tests, the sprint tests, and even the scrimmage. You gotta ball out there because that's your only chance. But yeah, all right. So let's move on. I think it's time to move on to the the games, especially in the UAAP. Before we talk about the finals, UP. Okay, they're back in the finals. The last time they were in the finals, we were there, Jello. That's season 81, 2018. So first time in I think 32 years that we made it to the finals. Now they are back. They are back in the finals. This time also against Ateneo. But before they got there, they had to play DLSU twice. UP had the twice to beat advantage. They won. LaSalle won game one. UP got game two to advance to the finals. Let's talk about the ending of that game, Jello. Just the UP DLSU game. How did UP win that? Because that's a good talking point as we talk about game one of the finals because it was all very similar how they came back in that fourth quarter.
One name, Carl Tamayo.
Yes,
That
sir.
guy took over in the last minutes of that fourth quarter. Okay, uh, he's been struggling in that series. Everyone knows that from the game one of the Final Four series against
Yep.
DLSU. he was struggling. Carl Tamayo was just Justin Baltazar was just bullying Carl Tamayo.
He was sunning him.
He was stunning everything, every grown type of move Justin Baltazar did to Carl Tamayo, and that almost the entire series, I must say, until that last few minutes of the fourth quarter when Carl Tamayo was just a different guy. Suddenly, he wanted to get all those rebounds. He wanted to take over. He wanted to get the ball and attack Justin Baltazar. So, on that last few minutes of that fourth quarter, what Carl Tamayo did, what Justin Baltazar did to Carl Tamayo in that entire series,
he turned it around.
He turned it around, and that's what Carl Tamayo did in that fourth quarter.
I think Carl Tamayo kind of heard it too. Like, the slander that Baltazar is the kuya, Carl Tamayo is the baby, the rookie. And he turned things around. They were down 70-56 with around 4 minutes left. And Carl Tamayo just took over it. Imagine, in that fourth quarter, Carl Tamayo outscored the whole DLSU team. Carl scored 12 points in that fourth. LaSalle just scored 10 as a team in that fourth quarter. So it was really Carl Tamayo's moment. What a way. The emotions really poured out after that game. I mean, he deserved it. That was one question also, Jello. Who will UP go to in the last minutes? We had Paul Desiderio in our time, Mr. Ateneo. Season 82, they had one GDL who made big shots also in crunch time. They had Ricci Rivero then, Kobe Paras, but this team is totally different. Sometimes we see Ricci Rivero handling the ball. Sometimes we see Carl Tamayo. In their Game 1 victory against Ateneo, we saw Lucero and Spencer. So there's literally no one guy that they go to, and that's going to be tough to stop for opposing teams. All right, but for the other guys, for the listeners out here, you're part of this group, you're part of this conversation. Who do you think is the go-to guy for UP? Who would you rather go to? If you're Coach Goldwyn, if you're the head coach of UP, who will you go to in the last few minutes of the ball game? Because that's a tough thing to decide on. Is it gonna be right? Is it gonna be Spencer? Is it gonna be Kagulangan, Rivero, Zave? Like a lot of different choices. So comment down below who is your go-to guy if you're the Fighting Maroons. But now let's go on to the other side. Okay, so we talked about that LaSalle game that sealed the deal for UP. Let's move on to Game 1 of the finals. All right. So UP it was back and forth, Jello. Game 1, you were there live. I covered it in the studio. It was such a close game. I don't think a lot of people expected for it to be a close game just because UP, coming from a 2-game series against LaSalle, just 1 day of rest, compared to Ateneo, who had a couple of days, 3-4 days rest. A full week of rest, right? Because they only played FEU once, and they defeated them on the first game. So I was expecting Ateneo to go blazing, to go press up on UP just because they're fresher. But it looked like UP was fresher. I mean, they were the ones dictating on defense, pressuring them, a lot of ball pressure. But Jello, what did you see in this? Let's not talk about the fourth quarter yet. What did you see in the back and forth, first quarter, second quarter? It was really a tough match. It was defensive matchup because not a lot of field goals for both teams.
Actually, Ateneo really, for me, Ateneo really started well. They started off with a 6-0 start, entering into that game.
Yeah.
But it was, yes, you were right. It was more of a back and forth seesaw battle. You really didn't know at the start who would really capitalize on who. Because I think Ateneo was, but at that point in the first half, Ateneo was quite of an advantage because they were up. They were leading by like 4-3, and then then UP would tie it, and then Ateneo would lead again. It was more of like that. So at the first half, or like the first 3 quarters, I must say, Ateneo was quite of an advantage, really, because shots were starting to fall. They were getting good looks. Rafi Verano was being the veteran that he is. Kouame dominating the boards, getting all those one-on-one post moves on Malick Diouf, getting all those fouls on Malick Diouf late in the third. So it was really a quite of an advantage for Ateneo during that game. But the fourth quarter in the overtime is a different story. That was a really, really different story. So, but Jegs, my question to you probably is that what was the turning point in that game for you? So since you covered that game live, what was the turning point really? That sudden shift maybe in that game.
First half score, UP was actually up by 1, but it could have gone both ways. But I think what UP did very well here in this ball game is closing quarters correctly. So in the first quarter, Ateneo, you mentioned it, it was a 6-0 run. But UP answered back with a run of their own, so it ended up 19-17. But UP did not allow Ateneo to really build a huge lead. Second quarter, it was the same thing. UP ended that second quarter perfectly. That's why they had the lead. Third quarter, though, it belonged to Ateneo. So Ateneo actually produced a lot of points to start off that third. And they're well known for that in the third quarter to really adjust, to make the proper adjustments, to make runs. That's what they did. But what did UP do? Before that third quarter ended, had a couple of baskets in a row for them to not lose a lot of points. They put points in bunches in that third quarter and not allowed Ateneo to build a huge lead. Now, in the fourth quarter, they did the same exact thing. But the defense of UP for me was the turning point, was the X factor. Whole game, they were putting pressure. Every time Ateneo was dribbling, they would put the pressure on SJ Belangel, on all their perimeter players in Dave Ildefonso. They would deny passing lanes, not allowing Ateneo to execute on offense, not allowing them to have those easy reverse passes, and they were just physical. UP was physical. They just wanted the ball more. They had more offensive rebounds compared to Ateneo. Coach Tab mentioned that also, because if you have, Zave Lucero there, Malick Diouf, and Carl Tamayo in there, that front court will really produce damage in the offensive boards. They had more than 20 offensive rebounds. It's tough to win if you're giving up offensive rebounds like that. But Jello, can you talk about, there was that one point, Ateneo was already leading, I think, by 6.
They were up 8 last 3 minutes. They were up 8. They were at 68-60.
Yeah. Take us through that wild comeback by the Fighting Maroons.
Actually, it was 68-62, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But there was at the point that Carl Tamayo missed 2 free throws probably last 1 minute last 30-something seconds. I don't know. 70-64.
I think that time the game was over.
The game was already over. Kind of when Ateneo was up 8, I was kind of thinking that, this is where Ateneo is best. Controlling the lead, and at the time that 68-60, it was Ateneo ball. So they were at the point that, SJ's gonna control this. They're gonna set up the play. They will execute. But it changed suddenly. So 70-64. That's when Carl Tamayo missed both free throws, and Xavier Lucero got the offensive rebound out of nowhere to give UP a slimmer chance, to cut the lead down to 3. And all of a sudden,
he got the offensive rebound. I think they were against 3 players. Yeah, against 3 players.
Was against 3 players.
He just elevated over everyone. Finished the bucket. I think Kouame was right there, and
it was Ange.
He was fouled, and he made the free throw. So it was down 3.
Down 3. So I was there. I was there. I saw the atmosphere. It's just shifted. UP was like, wait, we can still win this game. It was like that. It was like the last 30 seconds, or I don't know, last 30
Yeah,
seconds of that game.
exactly. Yeah.
And 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 all of a sudden they were alive. They were like
Mm-hmm.
lively all of a sudden in that last sequence in that fourth quarter. Because the entire when we were down 8. Their emotions started to like their shoulders drop, heads
Yeah,
down. But when that Xavier Lucero end one happened, they were like, "Oh, we can still win this game. This
exactly.
we still have a chance."
Exactly. So it went to Ateneo. It went back to Ateneo. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jello. Was that the next play? Was that the time that Malick Diouf forced a turnover?
Yes,
He
that was the
denied the
one.
ball,
We
but
denied
he
the
did
ball on
not
Ange.
touch the ball. Yeah. So and then Ateneo turned the ball over to that
Yes,
sideline out of bounds.
yes, that is correct. And then going back, Coach Gold
And
called the
but
timeout.
also just to add that sideline out of bounds. Um, Ateneo actually got the ball back. Like they ran an inbounds play, and then I think there was a foul or it went back to the out of bounds. So UP knew where Ateneo was going because they ran the same play. That's why Malick Diouf was able to deny that ball,
Deflect, yeah,
to deflect it. He didn't deflect it because it came off Ange Kouame. He was just
yeah,
there denying and like
denying it, yeah.
disrupting the pass. So it went back to UP. Take us through that James
Ah.
Spencer logo 3. How did that come about?
All right. Coach Gold drew up a play
Yeah.
off the timeout. He literally, it was funny because literally Coach Gold uh, took the timeout, like he really took his time in that timeout.
Yeah.
Like everyone was already, Ateneo was already on the floor, and the referees was already calling UP out, game time, game time. They were like that. And then when the play started, it was just a simple screen to screener action. If you would notice it, I was replaying it again and again. I was checking who was that guy who set the screen. Basically, it was just a simple screen to screener. And when I saw James, he literally sprinted out to that spot, like what we usually do on practice
Yeah.
shooting drills. Like
Yeah.
this is when he applied when coaches say you have to sprint to your spot. That's what James Spencer did. That's why he had that huge separation on Chris Coon. So
Mm-hmm.
when Chris Coon was already closing out, it was too far away. But the spot where James went to, it was far. It was literally far. I was like, when he took that shot, he literally took his time. He
Yeah.
looked at the rim. He looked at the rim. Oh, I'm open. That's when he took the shot. And I was like watching there. It was like, man, that's too far, James.
Yeah.
And when he made it, I was like, wow,
How was Mo
wow.
Arena when he made that shot? Just
The atmosphere was crazy. I was
everyone just
speechless.
went up. Yeah.
I was speechless, to be honest with you, because I really can't cheer. I really can't cheer because being part of the analyst team of UAP, you really can't be seen cheering for your alma mater and all of that. But that that made me really really proud of James. To tell you honestly, he's our rookie.
Yes,
He's our
sir.
rookie. We've seen him
And
grow
you
as
know what,
as a
Just
player.
yo, we talked to James Spencer. The first time we
Yeah,
saw James Spencer, we had an international training in Serbia, and
yeah,
we just talked to him. We were like, you guys are lucky. The program is growing. This is the perfect place to be in as a rookie, James. This is gonna be, you're gonna be one of the leaders, the vets of this team a few years after this, and I'm just happy for the guy. You know,
yeah,
he made big time plays defensively and offensively, and also turn it back a couple of years ago, he was also the guy who airballed a
yeah,
potential game winner or a
yeah.
potential
Game time three.
game tying three against the UST Growling Tigers, who eliminated them in the final four, and they had a twice to beat advantage. So imagine, turn back the time, James Spencer kept on working. He kept on working on his shot, and I saw him. He works on meditation. He works on his game. He did all the little things that can improve him during the off season, during the pandemic, and the work is working. It's showing great character from James Spencer, and he deserves all the praise. But let's go to the overtime. This is the shot that tied the ball game.
Forced that overtime.
Forced that overtime, tied the ball game. UP had a huge stop on Ange Kouame to force the overtime as well. Take us through the overtime period, Jello. How did UP take control of that period?
Again, one guy, Xavier Lucero. That was his game. That was his overtime. That guy, that guy literally showed up in that fourth quarter.
That guy had 1 point in the DLSU game in the Final Four. So what a way to bounce back, right?
Yeah,
if you're Xavier Lucero.
Exactly. Xavier Lucero hit that. I think that go-ahead 3-pointer in the I don't know,
that
last
Kagu
one.
Pass. It was the Kagulangan
It
pass.
was a kagulangan pass on that. I think Ateneo was on his own right there, but Kagulangan found Xavier Lucero in the corner for that big 3-pointer that really gave UP that cushion in that overtime period. And again, it wasn't just save. Let's talk about Ricci Rivero hitting that Euro end one, that classic Euro end one. I was watching that highlight of that specific play.
What was the score then, Judge, if you remember?
I really can't remember the score, but they were. I think they were up 2. They were up 2. They had a stop. And then I think that was they forced the first 24-second shot clock violation against Ateneo. And then when they got back, JD Kagulangan just swung the ball to Ricci Rivero, and I saw Coach Gold on the bench saying, attack him. He was against, I'm not sure who. Oh, he was against the number 1 on-ball defender of Ateneo. It was against Gian Mamuya.
Was it Mamu or Andrade?
It was Mamu. I saw Coach Gold and Coach Mac Abolition saying, attack him on the sideline. Like he was literally shouting, attack him. It was first pass. It was the first pass of that play. So they were like saying, attack him, and that's what Ricci Rivero did. In Ricci Rivero fashion, hit him with the sidestep, floater, and one, finishing off that game.
Hey, with Ricci, you gotta take the good with the bad. He would take all the bad shots, all the shots in the fourth quarter, because he's that guy. He's the go-to guy. Coach Baldwin trusts him, and you gotta live and die with this kid. He's gonna make the big shots. He's gonna make the big free throws. And enough with the slander. This guy is talented. He is a highlight. He's a bucket. And he also defended well. He also defended well in that game 1 victory against Ateneo. Probably a little bit improvement on some decision makings, but hey, fourth quarter or overtime, it should be Ricci time if it's in the half court. James Spencer, also a knockdown shooter, of course, but in terms of creating plays, creating opportunities, I think Ricci is the guy, or maybe Mai, 2 of them. All right, so also, Malick Diouf fouled out. At that point, my question was who was going to match up against Ange Kouame. So that was a shaky, crucial possession for UP at that point. But what a majestic and magnificent job coming from Coach Baldwin, where he put Carl Tamayo and Xavier Lucero, which forced Ange Kouame to get out of the paint because of their shooting ability. And that allowed drives from Ricci Rivero and the other guys to crash on the offensive boards. And you got to give credit to that guy, to Coach Baldwin and his coaching staff, to the boys for not giving up. They basically did not give up. They put all the effort inside. They wanted the ball more. They wanted that game more. And, some of the people are saying Ateneo is not used to situations like this. Because before, they would just blow out people. They would blow out teams. They would build huge leads by the time it's in the fourth quarter. But UP, they've been doing this whole season long. Close
Yeah,
games, closing out games in the
yeah,
fourth quarter, making the right decisions and hitting the big time shots. But let's go to the other side, Jello. Ateneo, this is a champion team. They're a three-time defending champion back to back to back. We have to not discredit that. We have to make sure, like we have to give credit to them as well. For them, they are very capable of bouncing back. They will do their homework. They will do their film session. Especially Coach Tab, one of the best minds, best
yeah.
coaches here in the Philippines. Honestly, he probably up the ante, up the level of coaching in the Philippines because everyone just had to catch up to him, especially in the collegiate ranks. And it goes to show the results show it. The multiple championships, in dominating fashions, beating the Embala led LaSalle team. I mean, you gotta give credit to that team, to the coaching staff, and they are very capable of bouncing back. I'm honestly very scared of what they're about to do in game two.
Hey, do not ever count out the Todd Baldwin Ateneo system.
The
Ex-
system.
expect them, expect them to do things that we've never seen before, because that's what Todd Baldwin is. He
Yeah.
just picks up things out of nowhere, gets it under his sleeve, and bam! All of a sudden, like what the heck is Ateneo
Yeah.
doing?
Yeah.
But again, expect Dave Ildefonso for me. Expect Dave Ildefonso not be 100%. SJ Bilangel not 100% because of injuries, because of aches and pains.
Why is Dave
But
Ildefonso not 100%? Is he injured also?
it was the time when he fell on Kouame
Oh,
during
yeah.
one of the games in the first half.
Yeah.
I think he was having some lingering pains through that. But again, someone has to step up. This is the perfect time to implement that next man up mentality of
Yes, sir.
Ateneo.
Yes, sir.
That's this is the perfect time. We want to see PJ Andrade knock down those big threes. We want Tyler Teo take over, be the veteran that he is. We want Rafi Verano to get the ball at the post, attack Carl Tamayo, attack Save Lucero, and we want to see Ange dominate everyone, be that number one MVP candidate that he is
Mm-hmm.
right now. This is the perfect time for them to do those things. And again, expect them to come in hot in game two.
Yep. With a guy like Dave Ildefonso, I think he didn't reach double digits. Coach Tab said that, he was the missing link. Expect him to bounce back and try to get game two. And they're going to come out with guns blazing. SJ Belangel, I think he tweaked his ankle, but knowing him, he's a fighter. He will do whatever it takes to play. Um, and I don't agree with some of the statements that, Ateneo is not experienced in these kinds of situations because some of the guys here, Tyler, SJ, Ange, the other guys are also experienced in winning ball games, even not just this season. In season 81, season 82, they had a couple of close games that they also won. So, they also have that experience, shared experience of going at it. But I think this is the first time that Ateneo,
Yeah.
in a long time, that Ateneo is down in a series.
Yeah.
Yeah, best of three finals since 2016 against DLSU. This is the first time that they trailed in a series, and DLSU won that series in 2016. So I'm not sure if that's a sign, but that's just the stats. But championship experience, Ateneo will be very deadly in game two. I think the adjustments for them is just to not allow a lot of offensive rebounds for UP.
Yeah.
Because if
And
you
they
have more
have to
than
make their free
20,
throws.
yeah, if you have more than 20 offensive rebounds,
Yeah.
the other team has more than 20 offensive rebounds. it's tough to win because you won't have equal opportunities with the
That's true.
possession with the ball. And
That's true.
also, they shot 11 out of 25 from the line. They could have won that ball game if they just shot,
Just missed.
a
Shot their
lot
free throws.
better. Maybe just, 8 more free throws, right? Like
Yeah.
they could have won that ball game if you're one of those fans that, think that way, right? So if you're listening, if you're still here at this point, comment down below. What do you think will Ateneo do? What do you think? Who would you think will step up for Ateneo? And do you think Ateneo will get game two? Or do you think UP will finally get that win and win their first ever championship in 36 years? Comment down below. Let us know your thoughts also on how UP won that game or how Ateneo lost that game. And let's see. Looking forward to game two, Jello. Looking forward to that game two and the adjustments that both teams will make.
Yeah, and again, expect both teams. This is a hot take for me.
Okay.
This
You
is a
gotta
hot
listen,
take.
guys. This is Mr. Hot Takes right here.
This is a hot take for me. This is a hot take for me. Ateneo will win game two. Expect that.
Woo!
They will win game two.
All right, to all the
Look,
UP fans, UP community listening to this
I'm
episode,
sorry.
please
I'm
get mad at
sorry.
this guy. You can everything, all your thoughts, all your emotions, you can comment it down below.
I'm sorry.
Please get mad at Gelo Vito. With me, I'm neutral. I'm not saying anything. Gelo, why?
I'm
Why do you
sorry.
think
I'm
Ateneo will
sorry.
win it?
I just have this gut feel that Coach
Mhm.
Coach Tab hasn't really given up on the series. I know he still has something in his sleeve that he's gonna be using against UP and against that. Everyone was saying, "Oh, UP already cracked the code. UP
Yeah.
already cracked the code of the tab and Ateneo system."
Well, you got to give it to them. The reason why they're saying that because 2 out of 3 games of Ateneo, UP beat them
UP beat them by
twice.
twice. But again, this is the finals. This is the UAAP
Anything
finals.
can happen.
Anything can happen. Any adjustments
I
can
think
happen.
I think X factor is Dave. If Dave plays well against that James Spencer wild defense, I call it the
Defense.
thesis defense. UP thesis defense is crazy. I think Ateneo will have a good chance in game two.
And
I mean, hey, for basketball fans, just this is gonna be good for basketball fans, especially if Ateneo wins that game too, because we're gonna have a do or die
right.
game three.
And everyone wants a game three.
Yeah.
Me personally, even if I'm a former UP Fighting Maroon, but as a basketball fan, we want a game three of the UAAP finals. Like
Yes,
we
sir.
are already praying to the basketball gods to give us that game three. Because again, when was the last time we went into a game three? When was the last time?
I think that was 2016. Yeah,
2016.
that might be
It's been a
2016 or
while.
17. I think 17. also,
2016
yeah.
or no, actually it was 2016. I remember
Yeah.
that. I remember that year. But then again, it's been a while since we have a UAAP finals game three. So
Yeah.
again, I just want everyone to be there and to experience that because again, we're in a pandemic. Nobody wanted this to happen. Nobody
Yeah.
expected us to be in Mall of Asia Arena to
Yeah.
cheer on both crowds, to be there live and to experience this in a pandemic.
Definitely.
So let's get this into game three. I hope
Let's get this
goes to
going.
game.
Let's get this going. All
Let's
right.
get this
You know what
going.
I'm gonna do, Josh? I'm just gonna sit back, relax, enjoy basketball, enjoy the games, and see whatever happens. For the commenters, for the listeners, please, comment down below. Comment down below. What do you think will happen? Is it gonna be? Or is Ateneo gonna force a game three? Or what do you want to happen? Game three or just game two sweep? UP will win it all, and we're just gonna go bonkers and crazy. Comment down below. And it was a great conversation with you, Jello. Such a nice time. Such
Thanks,
a great
Jax.
conversation. Just talking about basketball, hoops, UAAP. And again, that's me, Diego Daria, together with my partner right here, Gelo Vito, for the Next Man Up podcast, the newest online hoops show here in the Philippines. And that was episode 1. We out here. Peace, Jello.